Happy Black and Gold Thursday. It's Black and Gold Nation, our Extra Points Black and Gold Nation edition. I'm Andrew Clay. Kieran O'Donovan is joining us. And guys, I'm really stoked about this conversation. Kieran O'Donovan is part of the Irish NFL show. He is coming to us from Dublin right now as we get set for Steelers and Vikings coming up this weekend. Kieran, thanks for coming on the show. I'm excited for this conversation.
Thanks for having me, Andrew. I got to correct you. It's just slightly before I come on. I'm not coming to you live from Dublin. I'm actually in Cork in the south of Ireland, but I'll be packing my bags and heading up to Dublin on Friday. So looking forward to getting up to the capital. It's an exciting week.
I don't know where that is, but I will take your word for it. How far away is that?
It's about 3 hours, and let's just say us people from Cork we're very prideful people.
Yes,
we refer to Cork as the real capital of Ireland, but we won't get into that tonight.
So Kieran O'Donovan coming to us from Cork, Ireland, before he heads up to Dublin, where the Steelers will take on the Vikings. Kieran, this is the first regular season NFL game over in Ireland. They played in Dublin back in the 90s in a preseason game. What kind of appetite does Irish fans have for NFL? Because I was really not aware that there was this strong appetite, but I've come to learn there really is.
There is, and I'll tell you, Andrew, it's been growing, and it's been growing steadily for the last 10 years. Ever since I call myself a proper NFL fan. It's going on 10 years now. Previous to that, when I was in college and when I was younger, we would have always known about the NFL and we would have known about the major teams. And, there would have been a little bit of talk and chatter around Super Bowl Sunday. But, no, in the last 10 years, it's really, really ramped up. TV coverage, social media, the mega marketing machine that is the NFL has really whetted the appetite for us international fan bases. And in Ireland, it's been growing stronger and stronger. And I'll tell you, the appetite for this Sunday is absolutely huge. And the buzz is huge in Ireland. And the anticipation has been building, not just this week, but over the past weeks and months. And we're really, really looking forward to it. It's going to be a real carnival atmosphere in Dublin this weekend. And I believe it started already. So I'm really looking forward to getting up there.
I think I spy some Green Bay Packer paraphernalia behind you. Is that a team that you've gravitated towards?
That's my team, yeah. And people ask me how that came about, and I can't even put my finger on exactly how I became a Packers fan. I kind of put it down to I play some Irish sports here, some Gaelic football and hurling. There are native sports here, and my local team is green and gold. So that's the most tangible connection I have to the Packers. But just the storied history of Lombardi and the Packers, the Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers kind of consistent greatness at quarterback. There was a lot of reasons that drew me to the Packers, but you have to pick a team, don't you, really, to cement your fandom in this sport. So I've been a Packers fan. I haven't even been a Packers fan long enough to see them win a Super Bowl. It was a couple of years after their last victory, but still waiting. Things are looking all right this year so far. So at least we've got a bit of hope at the moment with Micah Parsons.
And you get to watch Aaron Rodgers this weekend.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I got my old Aaron Rodgers jersey dusted off there, so I might stick that in the bag and sure you never know. I might bump into him along the way and might get a signature. We'll have to wait and see.
So you're a Packers fan, but is there any particular team that a lot of the fans in Ireland tend to gravitate towards at all?
Do you know, it's interesting, and I like not just because I'm a Packers fan, but the Packers do tend to have, or they seem to have, a strong fan base, and I think they seem to have a strong fan base internationally wherever you go. And even watching the games over the past few years in London and Munich and and elsewhere, there seems to always be a strong pocket of Packers fans wherever they go. But besides that, if you look at Ireland here, it really depends. It can vary. There's a lot of reasons why people choose certain teams. And if you look at the age demographic, you'll see a lot of Patriots fans who started watching in the 2000s. Chiefs fans the newer fans tend to gravitate towards the Chiefs. The success is obviously a big draw. And then you'll see people, you could almost guess the era that people began to follow. You'd see a lot of Bears fans. You'd see a lot of Steelers fans around the place as well. I think the Irish diaspora has a lot to do with it as well. The history of immigration from Ireland to the US. So a lot of Irish families would have strong connections to cities like Chicago, Boston, New York, Pittsburgh, and so there tends to be a big following for the teams in those cities. But yeah, I mean, even with people moving to Ireland from abroad as well. There's so many different reasons, and you could literally walk up the street in Dublin and see any jersey. But yeah, those big cities seem to have a strong pocket of support here.
And Steelers owner Dan Rooney, or former owner Dan Rooney, he was once the ambassador to Ireland. Is that kind of a well-known understanding in the country that there is this integral connection between the parties?
Well, look, Ireland is such a small nation, and there's such a small, I guess, a limited gene pool here. You can pretty much put your finger on whether a family has Irish heritage just by the surname. The Rooney, if you say the name Rooney, there's a strong possibility that any Rooney family will have Irish heritage, and that's the case with the Steelers Rooneys going back to the 1840s. They emigrated, and so there is a good bit of awareness here in Ireland that the Rooneys have that connection with Ireland, and obviously that's part of the reason why there was a big appetite from the Rooney family to be that first home team in Ireland. And there's a great, I don't know if you're familiar with the Waterford Crystal story from the '97 game.
I am not.
Um,
Enlighten
so
me.
they played that preseason game, and it was Coach Cower. Coach Cower was in charge, obviously, and a preseason game. It was obviously you had that carnival atmosphere, but it wasn't at the level that it is today. Not being a regular season game, and so these preseason games are supposed to be meaningless. But when Mr. Rooney's wife saw that Waterford Crystal, who would be a well-renowned crystal maker in Ireland, they put up this trophy, and so it became the Waterford Crystal Bowl. And Mr. Rooney's wife told him, that would look really good in the trophy cabinet. All of a sudden, you saw Coach Cower had to stick in he had to rush in some of the starters, and the Steelers made sure that they came away with that bit of crystal. And I believe it's still on display in Heinz Field in Pittsburgh today.
That is an incredible story I have never heard. Were you a fan yet of the NFL back in '97? That was a while ago, and I know you said you only got into it in the last about 10 years.
Yeah, I was a young pup in 1997,
Me
so
too.
yeah, I think my first exposure to it was when I was in college. I would have stayed up to see a Super Bowl or two. It was really the Tom Brady, Peyton Manning era that when people around my age started talking about the NFL. I think I do remember seeing the Cardinals Steelers game. We stayed up late to watch that Super Bowl, that 2008 2009 Super Bowl, but it was really 2013-14. That was when my obsession began, and the obsession has continued to grow. And here I am today. I wouldn't have thought a couple of years ago I'd be sitting here talking to the likes of you, Andrew, and all the way over in Pittsburgh. So I've really enjoyed this development of my fandom, I guess.
Well, I think this is really cool as well. But we need to take one quick break. Let's hop in the commercial, and then let's actually talk some football. Let's talk some matchup. Vikings Steelers should be a good one coming up on Sunday. We're going to talk about that on the other side of this break. You're watching Extra Points, Black and Gold Nation edition. Back here on Extra Points, Kieran O'Donovan joining us from Cork, Ireland, the real capital of Ireland, as he tells me. He's from the Irish NFL show as he's getting ready to head up to Dublin. Well, he'll help cover the Steelers and the Vikings. This is a fun matchup and a pretty good-looking matchup, but it's maybe not as exciting as it would have been a few years ago if you'd have told me it's Carson Wentz versus Aaron Rodgers. The Steelers obviously coming in with their kind of full arsenal, at least on offense. This is a banged up Vikings offense, particularly now without J.J. McCarthy here for another week. What are your thoughts there on what the Vikings can do this week against the Steelers, even though they're so banged up?
Yeah, it's a strange one, as you mentioned, and you say the Steelers are coming with their full arsenal, but going on the last week or two, it's been a kind of a misfiring arsenal. I mean, they came out all guns blazing week one, and you thought it was the old Aaron Rodgers, and you were really excited. And he was very candid after the last game and saying that it was the defense that really carried them to the win against the Patriots, and probably a couple of costly mistakes on the Patriots end, especially into the red zone. But yeah, I mean, the Vikings are after putting up a huge score on the Bengals, who've had their issues as well. So it's really hard to know, was this a flash in the pan from Carson Wentz, or is the quarterback renaissance trend continuing with the likes of Daniel Jones, Sam Darnold, and now Carson Wentz? So I mean, Carson Wentz was once an MVP candidate. So it's easy to forget that, but I mean, look, notwithstanding the Jordan Addison suspension, he's got some serious weapons to aim at. I know Aaron Jones has kind of slowed down a little bit. He hasn't been as productive this year, but he's still got Hawkinson. He's still got Justin Jefferson, one of the best wide receivers in the game. So, and then you just have to look at the defense that Aaron Rodgers has to face this weekend. I mean, he's really going to have to concentrate on getting that ball out quick on the Steelers side. So, yeah, look, you'd like to see JJ McCarthy. I mean, his first start was really encouraging. It was, he seems like a guy that's got a lot of pluck to him, and you'd like to have seen him, and we were looking forward to him. And another Irish connection. McCarthy is a very strong Irish name as well, as is O'Connell. One of our main streets here in Dublin is O'Connell Street, after one of the a famous Irish patriot, Daniel O'Connell. So the Kevin O'Connell, JJ McCarthy Irish connection is strong. So we've got them on both sides. But look, what's really exciting for us as fans here in Ireland is that both teams are coming in 2-1 with a lot of hope to lay a foundation for a really positive season. So like, I think both teams can feel good about their record. I don't think they would necessarily say that they're exactly where they want to be. But it does make for an intriguing contest.
The Vikings scored 48 points last week on the Cincinnati Bengals. Do you think that is more realistic to who the Vikings are? Or do you think the Jake Browning banged up Cincinnati Bengals played an inordinate amount into that 48 points?
Well, you can take 14 points away straight away with that. The Isaiah Rogers absolute masterclass. I think, was it 99.9 PFF grade? It
Yes,
was
he had two defensive
the
touchdowns.
highest.
It was his
The,
show.
the highest possible grade he could have got. But and he forced another fumble. Like Jake Browning really, he set the table for the Vikings. And I made a point on the Irish NFL show the other night that once you get up by that amount, I think they had 34 points scored at halftime, the game is over, because your running game is gone, your unpredictability is gone, and it's very hard to claw anything back at that point. So yeah, to your point, it's hard to know whether that's a Vikings team that's firing, or whether it's a Bengals team that absolutely imploded. But what they will take is a huge amount of confidence after the week before, after the previous week. So they'll come in with their tails up. And as you know, like, Kevin O'Connell is he's an excellent coach when it comes to quarterbacks. And again, that defense is hungry, and it's going to absolutely try to blitz the hell out of Aaron Rodgers, like they did last year. So again, it's so important that they try and get that. Steelers try to establish the run, try and get those receivers, try and get those tight ends working, and get that ball out quick. I don't think he's going to be looking to go long to DK Metcalf too early, too often. He's going to have to really pick his moments, and really try to eke it out. And he's going to have to get a little bit of, I think he's going to have to rely on a lot of help from that defense again, and that traditional Pittsburgh gritty type of performance. I think that's what Steelers fans will be hoping for him. And look, and here in Ireland, yeah, we want to see 80 points. We want to see touchdowns galore, but the Steelers just want to, if they're 1 point to the good at the end of the day, that's all that matters if they get home. We talk about the occasion here on the Irish NFL show, and what it means to the Irish people. And it's such an occasion for us here. But to those two teams that are traveling over here, they've got one job. They're not here to entertain us, or to, or to pander to us. If it's a dirty game, whoever comes away with the victory, they're going to be just as happy.
The book on the Steelers, or slowing down the Steelers offense so far, has been simply a too high shell. Kind of like the way you're seeing teams play the Kansas City Chiefs, and you're daring the Steelers to run the ball and take what's given to them underneath. And while they're taking plenty of what's given to them underneath, they haven't run the ball well at all. Is there anything you've seen that kind of sticks out to you that the Steelers could do to improve upon that rushing game? Because it's just been non-functional.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, it's misdirection, and it's unpredictability. I think, I think it's a case of maybe adding in a little bit more play action. It's that run blocking and that run protection on that offensive line that they have to give them to give the backs that time to create the hole, or to see the hole. But yeah, just giving that little bit of time, and then to open up, and if they can establish that run, just to open up a few lanes for that pass game, and mix in that variety in their play. That's all you want to see from a Steelers point of view.
The Steelers have certainly struggled to get to that point this season. They ran the ball, I think, for like 45 or 55 yards in that opening drive last week, and then just kind of halted to a grinding stop. When you look at this matchup, because I want to talk more about Ireland and football in the last block, but
Yeah.
when you look at this matchup, where do you think the key in lies for the Steelers to beat the Vikings, and then inverse, the Vikings to beat the Steelers?
I think getting a pass rush and putting pressure on Carson Wentz. I saw, one. I guess if you're a Steelers fan, one worrying clip that you saw last week was a TJ Watt that looked like he was struggling when he had the angle on the quarterback, and you want to see, like, you just want to see your TJ Watts and your Cam Haywards teeing off, and getting that pressure on the quarterback, because, as I said, like, I think not Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones seems to have lost a little bit of a step. And if you can put that pressure on the quarterback and make them, you know, just get him, as to put that Sam Darnold quote into play as well. Get him seeing ghosts. Get him under pressure early. We've seen Carson Wentz and how he can make mistakes, and how he can, he can create or cause turnovers, or be at fault for turnovers. You just need to you need to knock his confidence early. And if you do that, I think, and then if you get that lead, you've got the option then to play the clock and manage that game. Because if you get down early on this Steelers team and you have to resort to airing it out, I think that's when the Vikings pass rush is going to, could really seriously take over and cause some damage. So I think getting a lead early, and you know eating clock as much as you can. I don't think you can expect the Steelers to score 40 points at the weekend. So I think a win for the Steelers would have to look like the win against the Patriots. I think it'd be maybe 21, 28 points maximum. I can't see them going any higher than that. So keep it low, keep it tight. And you looked at my Green Bay Packers against the Browns last week, and I spoke a lot about Jordan Love, and the lessons he has to learn, in that when you're 10-0 up against that Browns team that can't get much going on offense, you punt the ball. You can punt the ball and win the game 10-3. There's no problem with that, and you can get out of there with a win. And as I said, if the Steelers can win 10-3 on Sunday, they'll be absolutely thrilled.
Mike Tomlin certainly doesn't mind winning ugly at all. And the Steelers, you mentioned the pass rush. They have struggled this year, but didn't allow a sack last week against the Patriots, who led the NFL coming to that game. We'll see if the Steelers can protect him again on Sunday. Well, I want to flip back into Ireland and football talk. We're going to do that on the other side of our final break. You're watching Extra Points right here on your home for Black and Gold Nation. Back here on Extra Points, our weekly Black and Gold edition. Kieran O'Donovan from the Irish NFL Show is joining us. Of course, it's Steelers and Vikings in Ireland this weekend. Here on the States, on the East Coast, it's a 9:30 kickoff. What time is that for you guys, Kieran?
9:30 kickoff on the East Coast. That's four on East Coast. 9:30 is 2:30 p.m.
So
Sorry,
it's
2:30 on Sunday.
2:30 Irish local. I don't know what the time zone's called. What Irish Standard Time, is that a thing?
Yeah, GMT, Greenwich Mean Time. It's standard local time here.
So it'll be an early afternoon. In America, we love to tailgate. They love to party before a football game, enjoy a few drinks, enjoy plenty of greasy food. How do Irish fans consume the NFL there?
Yeah, so like, I've been to the States. I've been lucky enough to visit Lambeau and Foxborough, and I really embraced the tailgate culture in the States. And I have to say, it made our day. It was a sight to behold. The food, the atmosphere, the games, the cornhole, the beer pong, all this kind of stuff that happens in the car park. So Irish culture is a little bit different, and where we're heading on Sunday, Croke Park, it's traditionally a Gaelic games venue. It's a historic venue. It's an absolute it's a masterful stadium, and Irish culture tends to be very much. Irish people tend to head to the pub. They tend to head to the bars early. And if we're going to Croke Park, usually for an All Ireland final, which is the national final of our games, you might get up to Dublin the night before and take in a few bars. You get up early. You'll try and find a restaurant that'll give you the best full Irish breakfast. So full Irish breakfast involves sausages, bacon. We have a traditional dish called black pudding. I don't know if you're aware of it. It's fried pig's blood. We got beans, we got fried eggs, and the greasier the better, because usually there's a few beers to kind of knock out of the system early on, and then it's just a case of wherever you are in Dublin, you'll start to descend upon the venue, and you might hit a few bars along the way. But for the NFL and for college football, Dublin tends to embrace the American culture. So there are tailgate facilities open, and they're open already. There's fan zones all around the city. I think Merrion Square in Dublin is a big location with the fan zone already in action. So we very much tend to embrace the American culture, and there's going to be tailgate parties, and sections of the city are going to be closed off, because Dublin is quite a small city. It's easy to get around. So in contrast to the games in London, you'd very much have to be in that particular part of London to be aware that the game is on. Dublin is just taken over by NFL fever at the moment, and even the night before, we've got events going on all around the place. So we're actually lucky enough on the Irish NFL show. We're hosting an event in the Arlington Hotel with Bryant McFadden, who won 2 Super Bowls with the Steelers in the 2000s. So really looking forward to meeting Bryant and getting to know some of the fans, and having some crack with the fans, with the predominantly Steelers fans and Vikings fans. Obviously, all welcome. So really, the night before, it's just going to be a party from start to finish.
I'm going to wrap it up here with this one last question. Given that this is the first regular season game in Ireland, is there a pressure on the country to get this right and really do this NFL international matchup just right and kind of win the weekend?
There is, because you want to see it every year. Irish fans, NFL fans, as Brian, who's he's one of the founding members of our show. He said he's been accredited to the last 4 Super Bowls. He's been all over America following the sport. He's been a Giants fan since the 80s, and now on Sunday, for the first time, he gets to walk out his front door and travel 15 minutes to an NFL game, which would have been inconceivable not so long ago. So we want to see this back next year, and as often, as frequently as the NFL will allow it, and they'll only allow it if it is if it's a success optically for the NFL, and if it's a success commercially. So it's we just hope it's well supported. We hope that it's the fans enjoy the culture, enjoy we call it Céad Míle Fáilte. There's 100,000 welcomes that we'll extend to the American fans on this Sunday and beyond. And yeah, I mean, we really hope that it's a huge success, because, as I said, we want to see it again next year.
He is Kieran O'Donovan. He is from the Irish NFL show. Did you say that's pig's blood? The black pudding is pig's blood?
It absolutely, and the most famous black pudding is from my own town here in West Cork, called Clonakilty. So fried pig's blood, and there's a secret recipe. And if you're ever in Dublin, or if ever you come to Ireland, you got to try it. It tastes much nicer than it sounds. I can promise you that.
Is that savory? Is it sweet?
Oh, it's savory and very, very salty. So you're going to be thirsty after it.
Okay. I think it's going to take me a minute to get my head wrapped around that. But he is Kieran O'Donovan. He is with the Irish NFL show, coming to us from Cork, Ireland. He's getting set to go up to Dublin, where the Steelers take on the Minnesota Vikings, coming up on Sunday. It's a 9:30 kickoff here in the East Coast, here in the United States. Kieran, we really, really appreciate you coming on this show. This has been a lot of fun. I love talking ball with you, and what a thirst of knowledge you have and love for the sport. And that's really cool to see coming from an international perspective, and your thoughts on the NFL. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Thanks, Andrew. Really, really nice to meet you.